because since you are an MRI specialist, FASD in the brain, moms and dads all over the place want to know, can the FASD brain grow? Are they plateaued, capped? Is this it? Is all this work that I'm doing, is it any of it going to pay off? Yeah, let's start there. Not a big
Yeah.
deal. Let's just start off with the heavy stuff.
Sure. So in sort of typical brain growth, the brain grows in size until you're well, okay. Overall brain size only grows until about 6 or 7 years old. But within the brain, there's so many changes happening, and the proportional size of different parts of the brain keeps changing even into your 30s. So brain growth is a really long process for typical kids, and it's potentially even longer for kids who are not neurotypical. So kids like kids with FASD. But the brain, even after you get into the 30s, the brain is still plastic. It can still change. You can still learn new things, form new habits, and your brain is still adapting to that. So that we call that plasticity, brain plasticity.
Okay, okay. So if we're going there, awesome. That's a great segue. Neuroplasticity, because you
Mhm.
hear it. I'm going to tell you what I hear, and then you're going to tell me if all of that is wrong or what I'm thinking. Okay. So here's how I think, neuroplasticity, like you said, the brain grows, can make new connections, all that good stuff. But then I'm under the understanding that prenatal alcohol exposure, prenatal trauma, all affects the development of the brain.
Mhm.
If the injury occurs during development, and say there's a part of the brain that is impaired or, not there or severely, can they still be neuroplasticity involved in that? Does that make sense? Like, when you
Yeah.
have a stroke victim or someone who
Yeah.
incurs a brain injury,
Yes.
and is able to do that, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So the brain is always plastic. It's more plastic when you're young. So in some ways, that's a really positive thing. If you have an injury when you're young, the brain can potentially adapt to it more easily than if you or I had an injury when
I'm
we're
a lost cause now.
older.
That's true. That's true. Mhm.
So, but in other ways, it's concerning because there's an injury that happens during development, which has then a long time to influence. But really, I think what we're learning about now with FASD and brain development is that it's sometimes a little bit slower, sometimes a little bit faster than typical development, but development is still proceeding in the way that it should.